So, what I really want to lean in with you right now, right here and right now about is the whole idea of having compassion for other people, having compassion for ourselves, which essentially means showing kindness. And like everything, we can't do for other people what we can't do for ourselves. If we're not able to really be kind to ourselves and know how to do that, we're not going to be able to do it for other people, especially our kids. So, I want to share with you a little personal story, my personal relationship to this whole concept of kindness and compassion. Because the truth is that this was not something that I was raised with. And I wasn't raised by wolves. Like I was raised by, decent people who were doing their best, just like, most of us or all of us. And I still was raised with a concept. And somewhere along the line, through my parenting, the way I was parented, through the culture, got the message that if you are kind, it means you're weak. And I don't know for you, but for me, weakness in my family was not tolerated. It just was not an okay thing to be. You never show your underbelly, you don't show your jugular, you put on a tough exterior no matter what. Don't let them see you cry, don't let them see you be weak, right? And as a kid, I interpreted this message as vulnerability, any kind of weakness, any kind of insecurity or uncertainty meant that was a form of weakness. Any form of weakness was weakness. And it really shut off my ability to be compassionate, to be kind to myself when I was feeling those things, because I've felt all of those things, of course, my whole life. I'm human. And the sad thing is that it shut off my capacity to see that and accept it in other people. And I wasn't like a total jerk or anything, but I think I know sometimes I came across as super judgmental, rigid, intolerant when somebody was sharing something that they were feeling insecure about. If they were in pain, I could kind of go there and I could understand what was going on, but limited. It was like, well, kind of get on with it, soldier on, buck up, chin up, that kind of stuff. That was definitely my MO. And I knew for a fact that if I continued to be that way with my child, that it was not going to end up being a good thing. It didn't feel right once I became a mom. But how did I know that this was even a missing link for me? And I'll tell you, it was shocking to me. It was one of those shocking moments where somebody says something to you and it stops you dead in your tracks, where they say something and you're just like, I didn't realize I was even thinking this thing until you just said it out loud. So here's what happened. So I was dating my then boyfriend, now husband, and we were in New York City and we went to a movie theater. And people there are stressed out. It's a big city and I love New York. I love it more from a distance because, living there was too intense for me, but I go back all the time. But I wasn't expecting people to be kind when we went to this movie. And anyway, we get to the movie theater and the guy who was taking tickets was like super, super rude. And I gave him back exactly what rudeness he gave me because that was what I was told is, kind of meet somebody where they are and don't give more than somebody's giving to you. And my husband, then boyfriend, was kind to this person. He said, I don't even remember what it was because I'm going to tell you what he told me in a moment. And I was so wrapped up in that. What he was so kind to this person, and what I saw before my eyes was that the ticket taker was completely disarmed by my husband's kindness, smiled at him, and sent us on our way. And I was feeling really confused. And my husband looked at me and he said, what's the matter? And I said, I don't understand why you were kind to that person. And he was being such a jerk and whatever. And I said, and it's not really like, that's not how you deal with people like that. I was teaching him a lesson. And he looked at me straight in the eye and he said, do not ever confuse or mistake my kindness for weakness. And I was like, bomb, bomb. It was something I had never, ever heard before. It was like a world shifting moment. I was like, what? What do you mean? I didn't even know that I had been thinking that kindness was weakness until he put it in that phrase. And I was just like, damn, that is possible. It's possible to be kind and strong and get the outcome that you want. Like I said, I don't even remember what the ticket taker guy did for us. I think I was like fighting with him about something, and my husband went about it being kind to this guy. It was just like one of those moments where my husband got what we were after, um, by being kind. And it was just a pivotal moment for me. And what I learned and started looking into, getting really curious about that from that moment on, was how am I holding back my kindness? How am I shutting down my compassion? Where does that show up in my life? And you know what? Showed up, it showed up all the time. Once I became aware of it, I was like, oh, I'm shutting down and being judgmental. I'm shutting down and being rigid. I'm shutting down and thinking in black and white terms. I'm shutting down my kindness and compassion, and I am intellectualizing it, right? Like all these things. And not only was I doing that outwardly to other people, I was doing it inwardly to myself. And that was the biggest lesson of all, was that how does it affect me, you, anybody who doesn't know how to show kindness or compassion for themselves because they're afraid that it means being weak? And if you're a Brene Brown fan like I am, then you know that so often we experience vulnerability as a dangerous place to be, and we see it as we are being weak. And when we learn instead to see vulnerability as just a place of being authentic and being honest with ourselves, warts and all, insecurities and uncertainty and all, that is a much firmer ground to stand on than this like false, shaky foundation of everything's good, I'm clear, I'm 100% confident, I know exactly what I'm doing every second of every moment of every single day. That is shaky, fake ground. And so all of this is super related to each other, because if we don't know how to respond to ourselves with kindness when we are feeling vulnerable, then we are going to feel a fear of our feelings. We're going to feel a fear that we are being perceived as being weak. And of course, all of our defense mechanisms go into action because we don't want to be seen as being defensive, as being vulnerable, because it makes us defensive, and we feel like we are potentially going to be attacked, which was the case for me, which is where it came from. Maybe that's true for you too. I don't know. But the lesson here is really about showing kindness and compassion for ourselves, being upfront about it when we're feeling insecure, when we're feeling uncertain, not getting lost in it, not letting it bowl us over, but being honest about it. And for some people, I know it's the other side of the coin. It's like all people can do is talk about how insecure and uncertain they feel. And I'm not saying go to that extreme either. But what I learned a long time ago is that true humility, the word humility actually, and being humble, means knowing your correct size. You're not too big and you're not too small. You are the size that you are, being authentic. And so you don't have to overdo it with the insecurity and the self-deprecation, and you don't have to underdo it either. Either way, you're kind of escaping true vulnerability, which is being honest, and true humility, which is being accurate about the size that you're taking up and how much you actually need. When you slip over into being too vulnerable all the time, that's your MO, then you put yourself into a victim mode, and that's not going to work either. So I hope that this helps you guys. It's so juicy because it rolls compassion and kindness and empathy and vulnerability and self-talk all into this like delicious burrito of self-awareness. That's a thing. And I want you to really look at the places where you find yourself speaking in an unkind fashion to yourself. And I want you in those moments to press pause in your mind and flip the script, so that if it were your best friend who really needed your comforting, if it were your best friend who was presenting to you a painful moment or feeling really vulnerable and being really honest about something, how would you talk to your best friend? How would you do it? What would you want to offer your best friend? And those are the words, that is the attitude that I want you to start to share with yourself. And the more comfortable you become sharing that kind of love and compassion with yourself, the more easily you'll be able to do it with other people and with your kids. And we can grow an awesome family. You can grow your awesome family of kind, compassionate, strong people from the inside out. So I hope that helps, and I will see you next time.